A Story of Love and Viagra and Tortured Grammar by Ralph Burris. Tortured Grammar uses no pronouns. Previously, wishing to acknowledge the tremendous efforts put forth by the erectile dysfunction industry salespersons in creating and proudly signing the multitude of daily messages then sent my way for products not needed, an imaginary trip was taken to a Russian Viagra factory, and having learned about priapism, the sporting of an erection for a period longer than 4 hours, a discussion of union rules arising therefrom followed, wrapped up by the discovery of Lubuch Saiiki, night clerk in the re-spamming division, relishing the lingering scent of day shift desk partner Kati Schenkal in the shared office chair each evening, and last seen walking away from the seemingly empty house of vacationing Aubrey Gumprecht, carrying a bouquet of hydrangeas, which, having heard were Madonna's favorite flower, Lubuch Saiiki had brought as a gift in anticipation of a first encounter with the elusive and Madonna-loving Kati Schenkal. Part 2. The drug manufacturing machinery gave off clouds of chemical dust infiltrating the sales departments, inflicting the dreaded priapic response, and while the labor union, the Brotherhood of Elocutionists, Apprentices, Typographers, Obfuscators, Fabricators, and Falsifiers, had managed to conclude a Viagra factory contract, Cialis factory negotiations had stalled, although tumescence issues carried on. The female's body response to the current odd attempt to mimic actual Cialis turns out to be the same as the errant fake Viagra does, causing the bonings up across the river, and while the stopgap measure of providing Hitachi magic wands, rated the best of the vibrators by the Russian edition of Vagina Now magazine, seemed to be working, there was the occasional renegade act. Having scooped up the hapless Lubuch Saiiki from a lonely forest road, Kirsten Gomez, Emildorf Kamiz, Wilona Grodberg, and Julian Arcas were laughing and throwing hydrangeas into the air as the ancient Russian-made Lada pickup truck slid to a dusty stop in front of the darkened home of vacationing Aubrey Gumprecht, where Halle Gerta and Lisa Penderhughes unloaded and dragged the now gagged and blindfolded Lubuch Saiiki through the front door. So what's going on here? Earlier, Sienna Pandy had slammed down the telephone handset in the Cialis factory locker room, reacting to the news just received from an unnamed third cousin, stating a co-worker named Lubuch Saiiki was responsible for the impasse in the labor negotiations, and angrily yelled, "Well, fuck Lubuch Saiiki," transformed by the hearing-impaired Dorothea McKenzie into "fuck Lubuch Saiiki." Then, misheard and loudly repeated by Cynthia Benson, 9 rows over as "fuck Lubuch Saiiki," causing a wave of chants of "fuck Lubuch Saiiki" to echo throughout the locker room of discontent, to where the coquettish and beguiling Halle Gerta and Lisa Penderhughes treated the chant as an invitation, and being no fans of mechanical devices, quietly said, "Yes, let's." Later, as Wilona Grodberg, Margarita Lindsay, and Bliss Hugson tied the now pantsless Lubuch Saiiki to a 4-poster bed and administered several Viagra capsules, Lisa Penderhughes, despite muffled protest, jammed a lubed-up fleshlight onto the throbbing member of... Wait, huh? Oh. Well, fleshlights were first introduced to Western civilization by the aggressively corpulent comedian Kevin Smith, and are essentially portable vaginas appearing to be a police flashlight from the outside. The convenience rooms seen last time were part of the original negotiations by the ED companies and beat off the labor union. Yeah, the acronym for Brothers of Elocutionists, Apprentices, Typographers, Obfuscators, Fabricators, Falsifiers. What? No, the name describes the jobs like... Well, it's like IATSE or IATSE. No, not planned, just a coincidence of the English translation from the Russian. In the ongoing effort to alleviate the priapic episodes and rejecting straightforward masturbation shown to cause carpal tunnel syndrome, solutions ranging from happy-ending massages up to some form of glory hole arrangement involving random domestic and farm animals had been laughed off when Aubrey Gumprecht mentioned seeing an old prohibited interweb commercial from the West featuring the morbidly obese Kevin Smith inserting a smallish member into a sort of wand-like device called a fleshlight to beat off, and after a quick negotiation, the device became part of the so-called mandatory relief clause in the labor contract. Meanwhile, Kati Schenkal consumed a favorite dish of boiled red beans and cabbage while gleefully watching a recording of the National Geographic Channel documentary about giant killer whales tossing a luncheon of baby seals back and forth like beach balls, when an anonymous caller delivered the news of not-so-secret admirer Lubuch Saiiki being held hostage at the home of vacationing Aubrey Gumprecht. Lubuch Saiiki, oblivious after hours of providing fortified relief by a now throbbing and somewhat sore member, noticed the faint odor of red beans and cabbage beginning to fill the room, and experienced an immense feeling of relief at the exciting prospect of being rescued by the approaching, delectable, yet still unseen KT Schenkel, now loosening the shackles and slobbering breathily into a waiting ear Lubuch Saiiki at last. A moment later, Lisa Penderhughes and Yala Gerta were startled by the loud scream and subsequent explosive defenestration of a naked Lubuch Saiiki, then seen running into the woods, followed by the disappointed visage of a 350-pound KT Schenkel looming large in the broken window frame.